个三维啊，国内的那个手机呢，是总包的。可能是因为我记得后面公司是一个石油的设计做的总包。
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Norbert Schmidt. On behalf of, I attend the conference on behalf of my colleague Ruben Ron from Barcelona office. He asked me to replace him this year. He has attended CSPPLAZA in the last years, and I will try my best to replace him. Thanks to CSPPLAZA to invite us, to give us the possibility to give this speech in this important conference. And also thanks to Crystal, who gave me the right information how to get from the airport to the hotel by public transportation. We have heard presentations about power plants in operation. We have heard about financing aspects, and we have just recently listened to a presentation about engineering. And now I try to combine all these topics with our presentation, which is called additional CAPEX, capital expenditures to be considered throughout plant lifetime. First of all, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce you all to DNV GL. DNV GL is a relatively new brand name and consists basically of a DNV, a Norwegian-based company, that Norske Veritas, and GL, a German-based company, Germanic Lloyd. Both companies merged recently, about 1.5 years ago, and now we are in the market under the brand name DNV GL. DNV GL is the world's largest ship and offshore classification society. We are also a leading technical advisor to the oil and gas industry, and last but not least, a leading expert for the energy value chain, including renewables. Our revenues are about 2.5 billion euro, and the DNV renewable advisory business has benefits from a rich heritage from renewable energy specialists, which include Garrett Hassan, Wintest, Telimax, DNV Kema, and Noble Denton. Here again, who is DNV GL? DNV GL is composed of different companies who, let's say, bought each other or merged in the recent years, and that's why we comprise of a broad experience and long history, about 150 years. Our global reach is global, and as you can see, we are active in 100 countries, but we have a local competence based on the 400 offices we have around the globe. At the moment, DNV GL has 16,000 employees. Among them, 3,000 are working for the energy business. DNV GL, as said before, is active in 4 business areas: maritime, oil and gas, energy, very important, and business insurance. Furthermore, we have 2 independent business units, software and marine cybernetics. And last but not least, we spend a significant amount of our revenues in research and innovation to be able to be on the forefront of technology in all of those areas. When it comes to solar means PV and CSP. We have more than 60 full-time engineers employed. As said before, we have a worldwide coverage. We work in multidisciplinary teams to being a consultant to be able to have answers to all the distributed questions which come from the sector, from the industry. We have been involved in more than 25 gigawatt solar projects which combine CSP and PV. Our main service is to give independent opinions and owner's engineering, and our customers are project developers, but also component manufacturers, investors and lenders, owners and operators, governments, and insurance companies. As said before, we have large experience in analyzing and consulting on PV and CSP projects for more than 25,000 megawatts. Now I will come to the topic of the speech, capital expenditures or additional capital expenditures during plant lifetime. What we see here as an introduction is all the different phases of a CSP project. We have the development phase, which starts right after a project proposal. Then, after the project has been granted all the permits and things from authorities, the conceptual design and the tender engineering follows, which the developer conducts together with his CPC partner. After being awarded the bid, or after the bid has been awarded during the tendering process, construction starts, and right before COE, commissioning has to be finished. COE, commercial operation date, when the power plant goes online and is able to provide stable energy output. And after that, the operation phase follows, and we have identified that by analyzing different projects in operation, that there are additional capital expenditures are necessary in order to improve the plant, basically, and but also to react on things or unforeseen things which are not which are not planned originally. As an example, like unexpected component failure, but I will come to more detail later. And as a matter of fact, CSP projects are unique regarding their design, their location, and the permitting or the legal circumstances. That's why science planning and engineering keeps the need for additional CAPEX low, whereas we think that it's not unavoidable to 100%, because there are always, let's say, things that you cannot anticipate, which happen throughout the project lifetime. And to respect this risk, we advise that additional CAPEX should be considered in the financial model. As I said before, we as DNV GL have had the possibility to analyze several CSP projects in operation regarding the need for additional CAPEX after COE, and we have identified 4 main drivers for additional CAPEX. The first one we call deficient plant engineering, which sounds a little bit harsh. It does not mean that a power plant or a CSP plant doesn't work at all after commissioning, but during the operation phase you will always find possibilities for improvement. Significant improvement in operability and availability, but also in efficiency. The next driver is inappropriate component design, especially the early plants, for example, which have been erected in Spain, have seen different cases of problems with key components which did not work as planned, or which showed weaknesses against special operating conditions, which are inherent to these P plants. The third driver is retroactive obligations imposed by authorities. Also, authorities learn their lessons and may impose more obligations, mainly regarding environmental protection throughout the project lifetime. This is, let's say, difficult to anticipate because, it strongly depends on the environment with respect to the authorities. And the fourth driver is something which is almost unavailable because obsolescence of technology just happens. This means this is related mainly to electric and control components. That's why our message is that we as DNV GL intend to transfer the lessons learned from the traditional CSP markets to the Chinese CSP industry in order to prevent most of the difficulties the traditional markets like Spain and the US have seen, to prevent this in the Chinese market. Now I would like to give you for each cost driver examples, which are just examples. Does not mean that this happens, that those problems will occur in each plant. As I said before, CSP plants are unique, and every plant has special circumstances. Just have a look at this little part of PID. What you see here is the heat exchanger train of molten salt and HDF. And what you can see here is that there are no bypasses around the single or around the individual heat exchangers installed, which means that when you have a problem with one of the heat exchangers, like a major failure or a longer maintenance, that means that you cannot operate the whole train of the heat exchanging system, because you need to shut off all heat exchangers. If you had bypasses, you could work on one of the heat exchangers and still operate the remaining two. This just is an example for improving operability and availability. Another, just a random example among others we have encountered was in one project the need for the exchange of carbon steel by polyethylene in the cooling water piping. This was due to special circumstances regarding the water quality. So there was seen what was called bacterial corrosion, and that's why the client decided or the operator decided to change the material because of just because of this reason. But as I said, these are random examples which might not be true for other projects. So our message is that the Chinese CSP market shall benefit from the lessons learned in traditional CSP markets. Now, the second driver, inappropriate component design. Three things. This is common knowledge in the CSP industry. The ball joints have showed let's say, less performance or lower performance as expected because they started to leak after a few years of operation and needed to, required more maintenance or needed to be replaced by new ones, which created additional costs. Another example is that leakages were reported in the steam generating heat exchangers, mainly around here, around the connection of the tube sheet and the tube bundle. Let's say Western manufacturers have now solutions for this problem. So, let's say in the new plants, those problems won't happen again because they changed design, they changed material, they changed the welding concept. But I'm afraid that because I think that, or we think that Chinese developers and CPC contractors will source local, will source in China, and maybe, those problems will happen again, because Chinese manufacturers are not, basically don't have yet this experience, and in order to avoid those problems, we advise that Chinese developers should develop a sourcing strategy with care. The third driver, retroactive obligations imposed by authorities. Just one example, due to those leakages in ball joints and heat exchangers, HDF contamination happened of soil and water, and this is what authorities don't like especially. So what happened is that authorities, an example from Spain, imposed that there are no leakages allowed, or that the power plant operators need to prevent by all means that HDF, which is a toxic material, contaminates the soil and the water. And for instance, one of the obligations was the need for sectoring of the solar field headers by automatic shut-off valves to prevent the amount of HDF, heat transfer fluid or thermal oil, leaving those leakage situation in order to limit the amount of HDF contaminating. And all this is a retroactive measure the power plant operator or the owner has to conduct and has to pay for it. But as I said before, this is very difficult to anticipate because all the authorities in different markets behave differently. So our advice is that we should be prepared to adapt to regulatory changes. Obsolescence of technology, this is something, as I said before, you cannot avoid because this is just things that happen. Slower or faster depending on the technological development. So this deals mainly with control system of the DCS, the data collecting system, the solar field, and also the steam turbine. So that's why when you sign an EPC contract, make sure that you buy up-to-date technology in order to avoid the replacement cycles throughout the plant lifetime. Our conclusion is that China, as an emerging CSP market, should benefit from the lessons learned from the traditional markets, that in the financial model, annual percentage value of initial CAPEX should be considered as additional CAPEX. And as I said before, we advise that China makes use of the experiences gained in Spain and the US mainly. And yeah, maybe design check and start with a well-designed plan right from the beginning. Thank you very much.
下面留几个提问问题的机会，2个问题，请大家举手。工作人员把话筒传下第一排最左边，第一排最左边。
I have 2 observations. One, no one of your example doesn't happen in any industrial plant. This is not CSP related. It can happen in a power plant, it can happen in any oil and gas installation. This is one. Second, we want to reduce the CAPEX. So we better put more effort in making better engineering up front than putting an additional burden on the financiability of the project.
Okay, thank you. Well, I agree with the second part of your comment. I don't totally agree with the first part. Let's compare a CSP plant with the standard combined cycle plant, which a company has built several times, and I think that before. So I think it's like buying. Well, maybe it's not such a good example, but it's like buying this a suit in a shopping mall, or having a suit designed to your body. So I think that there are differences between the amount of mistakes which can happen between like standardized combined cycle plants and a CSP plant. I agree with you that engineering should be better upfront in order to avoid later problems. So.
Leakage from the ball joint we have back in 1985. So if today we still are using ball joints which have leakages, so we are in trouble. We are in big trouble. The polypropylene pipe for cooling water, the problem of corrosion of bacteria is known all over the world. If the engineering company like I'm convinced that they will not do this kind of mistakes today. All I'm saying is maybe we do not need rocket science, as Kevin said, but we certainly need to put the same kind of attention in our design of the plant as the rocket engineers are putting in designing their rockets, and prevent all these kind of things.
More
than 30 years of this.
I totally agree. But I mean, for instance, we have had the sex plants in the US about 30 years ago. Then the CSP boom started in Spain. But let's say, no offense, but there have been made mistakes also in the Spanish plants, which showed that the engineering applied in Spain did not benefit too much from the experience from the sex plant. And now we have the possibility to avoid that this happens again. This is the message I wanted to convey. You know, so, and especially as China, for good reasons, tries to source everything locally, engineering, but also components, technology, but also engineering. In order to have to make this story a success, China should benefit from the lessons learned in the mature markets. So this is, I think we agree. Thank you.
OK， 还有其他朋友提问吗？这边有。
Timón from Empresarios Agrupados. I would like to take the chance and last comment made to you. Me as a Spanish engineer and architect engineer in an architect engineering company, I do understand what our colleague is saying, but I do see what you're trying to address. In my point of view, even after several years of CSP development in Spain, I would say that there is still this pattern of making new projects with new equipment, changes, improvements, without maturing what have come before. It seems that we keep shorten schedule, we detect shorten budget in engineering, is what he was saying, but is what you are saying, that there's people is not giving time to this technology to mature. So it makes mistakes of conventional plans made quickly and make new mistakes of non-conventional components, technological components, particular to this technology. And of course, I agree that I'm an engineering company that should be addressed from effort to engineering. But I think there's this contextual problem that everyone wants to go down in costs, and they begin from the very beginning, trying to make it short schedule, try to address short budget to almost everything, including engineering. And I would say that there are both statements, yours